Larry Boy. Bum, 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 Larry Boy. Alfred, stop yelling at me. Yellow, 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 yellow. Alfred, either secretly a Larry Boy villain or a massive troll. He likes the slapsticky nature, and so he puts Larry Boy in the most precarious situation. And he goes, what are you gonna do about it? Fire me? I'm your butler. Larry Boy is good at get the cat out of the tree crimes. He can beat up a milk money bandit. He can't do anything above that. He's literally getting sucked on as a cucumber. Giggity, they like repeat the button pressing gag and further cement Alfred into possibly villain territory.
I'm the rumor weed. She's the rumor weed.
I'm the rumor weed.
The rumor weed. Rumor weed.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Narratives and Nonsense. We are friends talking about random and recent stories, newsworthy or otherwise. I'm Jordan. He's dead.
I'm Connor.
I got air. Yay, he breathes. I am the life giver. That's how that works, apparently. We're talking about...
Somebody's got a high opinion of themselves.
I do rate a high on narcissism. This is why I have a podcast.
We're only had the discussion about you being a sociopath like
twice, 3 times.
Well, I was
five
just in
times.
general, probably like 30 times.
Sure.
Personally.
Yeah. That has nothing to do with the way I make food. Also, probably.
I think that is a solid identifier that you are one. Just because like what you're able to, but you're just like, yeah, this is okay.
I do like food in almost every form. Almost. There's rare exception. Otherwise, I accept it. I am alien in that
This
way.
is the thing. And here's where we hit the socio. He's like, oh, you're just picky. It's like, no, I just, don't put mustard on certain things that you're like, yeah.
Like salad. Put some mustard on the salad.
Like, that would be a perfect example. He just puts like barbecue sauce and mustard on his salad. Like, it's just like nothing new. Like, I do weird stuff with my food too, but I get it when people are like, why the hell do you do that? Like, I like ranch on a hot dog.
Oh, that's really good though.
And like but that's the thing. I understand it's weird and most people probably don't eat that.
I have low standards. Anyway, we are talking about Larry Boy. We need to clarify. We're talking about the first 3 like episode movie things of Larry Boy
the original
that are standalone Larry Boy property, not his first appearance, which is in Dave and the Giant Pickle episode of Veggietales, and not any of his After Bad Apple appearances, because it's no longer just Larry Boy. It is a whole vegetable superhero team. So just the Larry Boy movie pieces. So there's that, as well as some news and some random holidays. Woo! So starting off, Connor, how was this last week?
I mean,
Eventful, ups and downs.
interviewed for my job. That was good.
Mm-hmm.
Got that pretty well. Like, I got they offered me the position and I accepted it. So we're onboarding.
Got to get that background check. Yeah.
But yeah, so that was really good. Doing okay in the rock climbing gym. Almost got all the routes in my range done, which is fun, but also slightly scary because then eventually I'm going to have to like do harder ones.
I'm going to have to upgrade.
Going to be a real jump going up to the next set of routes. So
yeah.
That's going to be interesting. And then I re-downloaded Tinder and immediately was fished for like a PayPal scam. And didn't lose any money, did waste my entire Saturday night and not go and hang out with Jordan and a bunch of his friends.
What was the turnaround on that?
What do you mean?
Like from when you downloaded Tinder to when you almost
it
got
was one
scammed
of
at the hotel?
It was like the first person that I got more than like 3 messages into. Yeah.
When did you re-download? Like same day or?
Well, unfortunately,
like
one of
2
our
days?
roommates had a bit of a hard time here not too long ago, and he was re-downloading Tinder.
So is that the fun time?
Yeah. So whenever that happened.
Okay. So like within a couple of days.
Sure.
Oh my gosh. And
but yeah, basically, don't send money to people you don't know on the internet. And specifically, if somebody asks you on PayPal to send something as a friend and family who is not your friend and family, really don't do it.
Specifically.
That is a key, like, red flag. If you see that.
When cash doesn't do, only PayPal.
Yeah.
you're running into red flag
Exactly.
territory. Like, maybe this isn't a date. Maybe this is, in fact, problematic.
Yeah. But
Cool.
if anything else, didn't cost me anything, so whatever.
That's true. It, like, a little bit of time, but you had an adventure, and now there's a fun story.
Well, a
with
lot
that.
of bit of time, like, because I was
Yeah.
just waiting around for that. I could have spent, like, a whole evening doing something else instead of sitting at the house by myself.
Yeah. Goodness. On the Saturday tangent, we had a friend's birthday, so we ended up going to an archery place. I'm still a little bit sore from that, but it was a good time. So, like, archery but dodgeball, and so everyone's arrows are like on the center line. You book it to the safe zone, grab an arrow, run back, start shooting, rinse and repeat. If you catch it, the person on the other team that shot the arrow
nice.
gets out,
Catch it.
kind of stuff.
Right.
Or you just, like, bring in a team member, and then we played, like, a medic version. So, like,
Yeah.
like, two people had swords with, like, colored ribbon, and you can, like, pass off the sword to, like, bring up teammates that had fallen.
And doctor.
Yeah, just tons of stuff like that. It was a lot of fun, well worth it, and there was a good showing of people too, because they put our group together with another group, so there's
Jeez.
probably like 20 to 30 people just running around shooting arrows at each other, ducking
Nice.
behind like sandbag barricade things.
That's what I was gonna ask. Do they have like cover and such?
Yeah, sometimes. So for the end, it was a free-for-all. You have to shoot to kill people on the other side, but once you're out, you're out. You can cross that line anytime you want.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something where you can't shoot someone in the back, but you can shoot somebody, like stand next to a friend who's also shooting them, run across, just turn around.
Okay, like
Kind of
you can
thing.
switch back and forth.
Yeah,
Wow.
exactly. You can cross as much as you'd like, free for all style. And it got down at one point to where there were 4 people just back and forthing, and no one would actually manage to land a hit. So we ended up just calling it a draw between the last 4 people. That was a good time. Yeah, archery, like Nerf archery. It's very fun. Outside of that, God, work has been insane. So lots of like last minute change ups and stuff. I went into a full coma mode on Friday, just catch up on rest that I apparently needed because I didn't realize that I needed it. And then Kingdom Hearts is going well. On Wednesdays, I play Kingdom Hearts with my buddy John, and we're on 358 over 2 days. One of the best titled in the whole series.
One of my
And,
favorites outside of the first 2.
Yeah, story wise, it's fantastic. And one of the trio of friends has stopped showing up to their usual hangout spot in amidst drama and whatnot. Very, very fun time. Otherwise, goodness, this next week it's looking like it's going to be hot. Like 90s through until Friday, and then most likely rain on Friday.
You have to cut Jordan's
Let's hope.
fingers off.
Yeah, thankfully it'll be 60s at night, so we'll just keep opening the window, keep the Connor scissors at bay. No! Put it on the table. No. So
Don't fight in front of people.
so that's that. As far as news this last week, there's all sorts of stuff. One thing is apparently lots of studies are coming out about how important it is for adults to play and have fun.
I love it. Like, I always get made fun of, like, oh, you play Magic and paint little army men, and it's like, yeah, well, guess that's why I'm so healthy.
No, so
Suck, I suppose.
no, there's a lot of different benefits that people should be actively going to play with their friends even into adulthood, because some of it is as simple as, hello, are you playing tag? Tag is in fact a physical exercise. So you get a rush of endorphins, you sleep better at night because you're exhausted.
It's a little cringe, though.
But likewise, you can also get a little bit more sunshine if you're playing tag outdoors. So vitamin D,
Wear
you
your
get a little bit of an energy
sunscreen.
boost. Yeah,
Sunshine does
apply
not help
regularly,
with no
apply
sunscreen.
correctly. And then for things more like Magic or D&D or whatnot, you improve relationships with people because you have to talk to other people if you're playing with others, and then you get a little bit more creativity. Like, there's all just list of things. So that was one of the more nonsensical, wonderful news things that we heard. Another thing that I think is interesting, especially in the age of Dark Brandon, memes for the Biden administration is everyone right now is talking about student loan forgiveness, since that's kind of the big topic of the last like week or two. But there was a news article that I was reading about Purdue University, where apparently the last 10 years they've had a tuition freeze. They've kept it at $10,000 and they haven't increased it ever since. Originally, it was just going to be like a one-off, like sign of good faith type of thing. And each year they go through to renew it. So, okay, yeah, this next year, 10,000, this next year, 10,000. And they keep doing it again and again and again. It's kind of become this really great, like, example of what affordable tuition could look like. It's kind of become this model of like, okay, how do you do it? It's definitely had its successes and failures. One of the biggest challenges is how do they do cost-cutting measures? One of the things that people really pushed back hard on was when it came to like employment benefits for any of the teachers or administrative staff. That was a no-go zone. But one of the cost-cutting measures is doing hybrid classes. So sometimes it's in building, sometimes it's remote. That's a much more recent experiment, especially with COVID. But that was one thing. Another thing is instead of having like a designated campus transportation system, they expanded it to be just, hi, this is a regular city route that happens to pass through the campus. So it's kind of like the greater bus network. Rather than handling all of the food internally, that's outsourced, things like that, where it's just little bits by bits to keep it affordable. And it is something that they're saying is getting a little bit harder. I especially would imagine with inflation, but given that they've been able to maintain this for 10 years, I think it's a great case study for what lowering the cost of tuition could look like. And to add to it, in this article, it mentioned that according to I believe it was for NPR poll, about 82% of Americans are in favor of cutting the costs of college initially, more so than caring about like student loan forgiveness. Like people are more on the fence on that front, but lowering the cost of going to get that education seems to be a very big unifier. So hopefully Purdue is an excellent example to look at and
I think it's a pretty solid
more.
Like midterm solution.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to work forever. Like just because of like it, I don't know how you could. I mean, if they could figure it out, that's cool. But like even I'm like so. But either way, in the meantime, it's good way to help people out.
Forgiveness is, I think, more of a Band-Aid on a cut kind of thing.
And I would say this is slightly better than forgiveness, but I don't know how long they're going to be able to do it.
Yeah. But given some tuition rates, like anything is a start. Like let's at least address it. And I think Purdue is spearheading that charge in that way. Following that, just to expand on accessibility to things, over in Wisconsin, apparently a federal judge has overturned a recent ruling from the Wisconsin Supreme Court. Wisconsin. Originally, it was the decision of the Wisconsin Supreme Court that ballots must be handled by the person voting. At first glance, it sounds like it's a pretty one-for-one thing, but it doesn't really take into account folks that are in need of assistance or with disability or so on and so forth. Well, that kind of expounded until a number of voters ended up reaching out to the federal government to step in, and they ruled that while it may be the Wisconsin Supreme Court decision, it doesn't supersede things like voter accessibility acts and whatnot. So with how it was stated originally, Wisconsin voters would have to be the one specifically to like go and put it in the mail. Mm-hmm. Now, if they're a person of disability, they can have somebody do it on their behalf or delegate it or so on and so forth, however you want to phrase it. So good news for some of those folks out there in Wisconsin. Expanding from there, there was a very interesting story out of, I believe it was in California, where there was a gathering of, for a drag show storytelling event. It was about an hour long, friends, family friendly kind of thing. And in the days leading up to it, there were a lot of different calls and conversations about there potentially being a big protest against it because of trans rights, LGBTQ plus, etc. And when the day actually arrived, there were a couple of protesters, but they ended up getting kind of counter protested by the attendants of the event who were shouting chants, waving goodbye at the people that had come to protest. Eventually, the police do show up, but no action is taken since this was supposedly in public ground. So, like, no arrests or anything were made, but it didn't escalate in any form. Like, it was a very peaceful way to settle things down, and then they just continue with their event, which I think is really cool. Like,
that's always the main thing. And I will say, like, obviously, I don't really agree with the protesters of this event, but thankfully, everyone was able to keep it nice and civil, so that's always positive.
Yeah, on both sides, it was their...
I do always agree you have a right to peaceful protest.
Yeah, so everyone kept it civil.
Keep it going.
And then adding to that, there is a restaurant chain that is about 7 locations, I think is what it said, called Hot Chicken Takeover.
It's up in the Northeast, primarily, of the U.S.
Yeah, Ohio, New York, so on and so forth. And apparently it is doing really well and has a very united work culture because a large percentage of the people that they hire are former inmates, prisoners, etc., for whatever charges. The reason that they've been actively recruiting these folks, and they actually had like a speaker presentation happen in one of the prisons nearby in Ohio, is while employment discrimination is something that is absolutely illegal, when it comes to incarceration, if you're incarcerated, you're 5 times less likely to find employment than a typical citizen, which is tough. It's something that is a little bit of a slippery...
a lot of issues.
Yeah, it's a slippery slope to, like, you put your guy who was in a bad spot, you put him in jail, you put him into a worse spot, you're much more likely to revert to old tendencies kind of thing, rather than like starting fresh or getting a reset or
it's hard
like
to
that.
reset when you can't get a job.
Yeah, and with Hot Chicken Takeover, there were 2 things that were really cool with it. One is one of the general managers has been he's 60 years old, and like the better part of 30 years he's been working at this restaurant.
Started off washing dishes.
Yeah, after getting out of prison. And then to add to that, that's not just a unique story, because out of 172 workers, about 40% of them are former inmates or so on and so forth. So I think it's a really great testament to like second chances, and more importantly, finding a way to reestablish post-prison life. Like, how do you actually rehabilitate somebody? You give them somewhere that they can be productive or make ends meet, so on and so forth. So
that's
that way
even
they
like
don't
a
revert.
big thing in the military. That's always a big thing when you're getting discharged. Is they always ask you, what are you going to go back to doing? What's your job prospects?
Yeah.
So you got to reform it coming back from any kind of institution. Whether it be whatever. It's like, it's a very big part of it.
Yeah. So that was a really cool thing to see. And then to add to the like questionable legalities thing, and their relation to employment in California, it is the 7th state for what we'll call off the clock pot protections. So essentially, how it is normally, if you are getting drug tested, usually for checking for marijuana, it'll be something like a hair test, a urine test, so on and so forth. But these tests will more often than not result positive, even if it's something where they haven't been using marijuana for a significant amount of time.
And it's not just 3 months and it's out of your system. It depends who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something where like 60 to 90 60 to 90 days might not even
I think yes.
That's the kind of range. If it's something that the vast majority of the year you've not been using, you could potentially still test positive. So California has proposed, it hasn't been signed into law, it's on the governor's desk. If it is signed into law on January 1st of 2024, things like the urine and hair test would be off the record. Like, it's something that doesn't get to be used as a qualifier for employment. To add to it, it does specifically name those ones out, so it doesn't rule out things like the mouth swab is a big example. So if somebody comes to work high, you can still absolutely check if they're high. Which then
I know in Canada that is now, if you're going to arrest somebody for driving under the influence, that is becoming
the standard.
The standard is the mouth swab, and cops actually carry them around now. I've actually been mouth swabbed by cops before.
Yeah.
And just because it's a better indicator of how recently you've actually smoked, whether or not you actually smoke or not.
Yeah, it's comparably, instead of checking your house to see there's empty beer cans, it's, hi, here's the breathalyzer. We know how you are right now. So I think it's a good change. I do think it's something where if you are doing things recreationally, legally in your own time, then
with enough time in between to, be good before you work.
Yeah, absolutely. If it's something where you do have that separation between what your life is and what your work is, then I think this is something that will better reflect, hi, you can be a really great work person and you do your own thing in your own time responsibly. So I think that's something that ultimately is a net good change.
I will never advocate for anybody showing up to work high, especially I worked a lot of construction jobs and things like that.
Can you imagine?
You can't be high. You can't have the other guy on the side of the panel or whatever being high.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing with going to work drunk.
Totally.
Do not do it. Absolutely not.
I think the thing with drinking, though, it's a little easier to tell.
Oh,
I feel like it's harder
smell.
to hide it. Literally.
If depending on your method of ingestion for
there's certainly
marijuana,
functional alcoholics, but
yeah, smoking marijuana, it's something that you'll have much more of a smell. But if you're doing edibles or something like that, it's going to be a lot harder to tell.
Well, and I will also say the smell of smoke,
yeah,
you can kind of get around it if you're outside.
That's fair.
It's still there. It can be, but
as if smoking tobacco, it still lingers a little bit. Yeah.
But the other thing too is I think a lot more people are exposed to alcohol. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those
we pick it up
hot. Whereas with some people it's it's they're a apothecary type anyways. Anyways, but yeah. So show up to work high
or drunk. Don't do it.
Yeah. Under the influence of any substance that you shouldn't be.
Yeah. So following that, random holidays. We were just talking about work and labor. Labor Day.
Isn't it funny? It's going up.
All you colloquial U.S. folk, happy Labor Day. Hope you have the day off, but not everybody does. But most people, yay, Labor Day.
I do. That's all I care about.
Similarly, different topic. 57% of people, I think, or not 50. I don't know. It's been 50 years since we've had such a high support for labor unions.
We're at a record high of the last 57 years for support for labor unions.
Yep, that's what it is. Up 64%, up from 64% before the pandemic. Last year it was 68%. So 57-year high. People are very in support of unions. Labor Day.
I don't want to say something too. This is a big thing that I think, a lot of people, not the majority of people, a lot of people try to look down your nose and kind of things and kind of even go back on the chicken takeover place. There is nothing wrong with working at a restaurant or being a labor person. The test of you as a person when it comes to your work is your effort and what you put into it. I know it sounds stupid, but that was something that at my old job I was always very valued for. Is it didn't matter how big the job was or how small the job was.
You try your best.
Exactly. I kill it on all of it. Mostly just because I'm insecure and I don't want people to think I'm an idiot. But
that's fair.
That had good. There was a lot of payoff for that.
Yeah.
And even with my current job, it's a warehouse gig. It's nothing. It's literally, the guy said it's not brain surgery, but it's one of those things that but I'm going to.
It's got to get done.
but not done. I'm going to kill this. I'm going to figure out the best way possible. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to sit around and waste my own time.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So happy Labor Day, everybody. Likewise, if maybe you need some mental help, it is also Shrink Day. It is Child Protection Day as well. And then
it's Child Protection Week. Actually, the whole week is Child Protection Week.
Yeah. It's more than just the day. And then for lighthearted food things, it is Cheese Pizza Day.
Oof.
I know you wanted to say something.
Now, here's the thing. Everyone's going to ask, cheese pizza is not a pizza. You're all fools. Cheese pizza is the barometer for any pizza place. If you can't make a cheese pizza, what else can you do? You've already screwed up the most basic thing in the world. Cheese pizza is a necessary function of the world.
And it would be a traditional cheese. Like, you can't have like a gimmicky pepper jack cheese pizza doesn't count.
They're cheese pizza. Gotta start there.
If you can't get your vanilla ice cream, what good are you? Similar vein. And then it's also Samosa Day, which are so good. They're fantastic. And then finally, Day of Charity. So those are your random holidays. And now the meat and taters, the samosas and cheese pizzas of the episode today. We're talking LarryBoy.
Now, for anyone not familiar, let me break this down a little bit.
Yeah.
LarryBoy is a character from Veggietales.
Yes.
Christian animated kids show.
90s into 2000s. Recently kind of had a comeback of sorts.
But essentially, talking vegetables, preaching good morals and
godliness kind of thing. Like yeah, and most of that aspect is kind of the framing device of Veggietale episodes.
Like LarryBoy,
especially with these. Yeah,
there are a lot of episodes of the show that it's like, oh, it's the what's the big wall that the Hebrews
Jericho.
Yeah, the wall of Jericho and things like that. Either way.
Yeah. So with LarryBoy, we watched the first 2 episodes of LarryBoy. Again, this is the standalone adventures. So to get specific, we're talking LarryBoy and the Fib from Outer Space. We're talking LarryBoy and the Rumor Weed. And we're talking LarryBoy and the Bad Apple. Those are the 3 episodes. The first 2 we watched without the framing device. So it is just the episode as it is. The third one, we did get that framing device where they talk about what happened in it. There's the Bible verse. We go to QWERTY, the computer.
Of this a long time ago.
Yeah, it's on YouTube, freely available through their YouTube channel.
Oh, nice.
So that's kind of nice. Yeah, no, that's how we watched it even. So it is out there. It is readily accessible. Without the framing devices, just judging the story of its own merits, I think that these did very well.
LarryBoy 1, honestly, if you don't have the framing device, there's not really much religious anything. It's
the morals there, but otherwise, like, they may say the name God once, maybe. I don't know if they did.
I was really trying.
It's hard to remember.
I honestly don't think they did.
They definitely do it in the second one.
Yes. And that's kind of my thing is, like, as it goes on, you get more references in the actual media. But I was really shocked the first one.
The more airtime, the more references to God.
I honestly don't even think, and even in those, we're going from like 0.5%.
It's a name drop in a sentence.
2 to 3%.
Yeah,
like they're very held back other than the framing devices.
And frankly, as a person raised Christian, I love that because it's something where the moral lessons should stand alone well enough as moral lessons. I think that's something that Veggietales, unlike a lot of other Christian media, nails in a lot of aspects.
Really push the importance of the moral is really what's
here.
Like, as long as you get this, you're good.
Yeah, exactly. So that I think was kind of impressive with going back and, for me, reliving the first 2. I hadn't seen Bad Apple. We'll talk more on that. But yeah, it's also very weird because from a filmmaking standpoint, these are from 3 separate periods of time in the company's existence. LarryBoy and the Fib from Outer Space is really early on. I'm talking
the OG stuff.
It's like maybe like the first 5 episodes of this show. It's a little bit rougher around the edges, but it still nails what it tries to do. in Rumor Weed, they're a little bit more defined in how they animate. They made things look a little bit better. They added more details, more characters. Bad Apple came out in 2007, which first 2007 is a while ago, and I hate that. But it released
2007. I'm mad that 2014 was a long time ago.
Right? Oh no,
2007. We're old.
We're
man,
middle
man,
school at best. Like, yeah, it was quite some time ago, and just seeing the marked improvements for those like gaps of years between LarryBoys, you can definitely feel that the animation has gotten a lot better. Now, with that said, I don't necessarily think the quality went up all the way through for everything as well. I think it had some dips and valleys for other stuff, but animation just improved over time. How much is credit due to the studio versus credit due to technology has gotten better? I don't know, but
well, it's a bit of both because you still need money to afford the thing. Right?
Yeah. It's a matter of like, okay, how much is one side versus the other? Which, I know with to get into the deep lore of Veggietales, I know in 2005 they made the Jonah movie, and that downright bankrupted them.
Yeah.
Like it was
it's almost feature length.
Yeah, it's a proper like hour and a half movie in movie theaters.
Is ridiculous.
They pumped a lot of time and energy and resources in it, and it basically almost collapsed all of Big Idea Productions single-handedly because of how much it exploded.
Circumstances not been there.
Long story short, they did get some of that experimentation, the benefit of like playing around and making more and making better animation. They got some of that benefit from that movie. And Bad Apple, I think that episode holds to the test of time as far as the animation goes. Totally. It's very set in what it wants. It looks
just
great.
The environments, like before the environment's very like flat, obvious, like just dome roofs. Like if you play any video game, you're in a big room essentially.
Yeah.
But that one I loved. They're very like painterly looking, almost watercolory.
There's a good blend of animation,
like,
background.
It's a lot
stuff.
easier to look at, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Everything's also a lot smoother and less shiny, which helps the look. Yeah. It makes it more lived in, maybe. Because that was always kind of the thing with Toy Story. That's why they picked toys, is because they couldn't get that kind of shine off of them at the time.
Yeah, they couldn't make it look photoreal. Yeah. It's plasticky.
They look like good toys, so.
Yeah. So that's the animation stuff. In terms of music, because each of these has music pieces, it's good. I think the first LarryBoy theme, where it's a choir, like jazz, like full on superhero 1960s-ish vibe.
It's a bit of a banger.
Like it's like the old Spider-Man.
And once again, no real reference to anything religious in the theme either, which I always thought was weird because I definitely was like,
about LarryBoy.
It's just about Larry. So by all means,
LarryBoy.
Really, at least check that out if nothing else, because I'm telling you,
it slaps. It is probably the best thing out of this whole experience. Is just that old G LarryBoy theme sounds fantastic. They have a second LarryBoy song in Bad Apple, played by the all corn band Shucks, who is just kind of a mosh posh
divisive and confusing joke.
Yeah.
Like Jordan's like, oh, it's Nickelback, and I'm like, it's not really Nickelback, but I'm like, I don't blame Jordan on that. Like, I don't really know where they were going, because like it makes sense because Spider-Man 2.
Yeah. So Bad Apple came out 2007, same year as Spider-Man 3. It's after Spider-Man 2, and they have Spider-Man 2 references. Like they have the plungers shot off in both directions, so he's holding back the thing, just like the train in Spider-Man 2. They do the like he's hanging upside down across from the news reporter in this, which it's even in the thumbnail. Like that whole thing, like there's tons of pieces that reference Spider-Man in it. So I thought that with
it would explain
Shucks,
after why such a long gap they would do a LarryBoy movie, because it's like, oh, Spider-Man.
Yeah, and so I expected that Shucks would just be an outright parody of Nickelback, but as we're listening to it, we're like, it doesn't sound like Nickelback at all. What is this?
It's kind of generic Christian rock without the Christian
Yeah.
part so much.
Yeah, so
It's just
it exists.
Shucks. It's not corn, it's a Styx. That's what they were.
Is a Styx parody.
Styx.
Sticks for shucks.
That's why. It's like, I wonder why that didn't make any sense. Anyway.
So anyway,
I think
there is a rock parody in there, and it honestly could be like a parody of like
who knows?
the tropes of rock rather than being a proper
It's just a generic
specific,
which is so weird.
but done not as well as the freaking choir. Larry Boy,
The music was so good.
Larry Boy. Yeah. So there's that. There's also like
Shucks.
yeah, there's also side piece tangential story music. Junior has little
ditties.
little ditties. He has
And that's
3 of them for each lie that he tells. Yep. And then the rumor weed has like a whole jazz piece that Gesundheit. He got allergic to weeds because it drags quite a bit.
Yeah, I've been overexposed.
We've been overexposed to the rumor weed.
It's just like it is very close to like old school jazzy kind of blues stuff where it's like it is the same chord progression and the same lyric over and over and over again for way too long.
I'm the rumor weed. She's the rumor weed. I'm the rumor weed.
She's the rumor weed. And it's like I'm like, and like it's not literally all that,
I'm a rumor
but
weed.
80% of the song is just that, and I'm just like, I either rumor weed.
I think it doesn't help that with that song in particular, things happen in the in between, and then it like restarts the whole thing almost.
I'm like, oh, thank God I'm out of it.
Just kidding. Go right back in. No.
Like it's not poorly done. It's catchy, but I'm just like,
the Bad Apple song I thought was pretty good, but I just don't remember it.
Yeah,
but it sounded good.
Yeah.
That's what I remember.
Here's the thing. I don't know how good the
There's more
song
involved
is,
lyrics.
but the lady who plays the Bad Apple is
she ate it up.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's awesome.
Oh, the voice actress
And the character
killed
really
it.
cool, but yeah, the song I didn't really.
Yeah, the singing and the acting, the voice talent behind the Bad Apple was awesome. Like she just every scene.
Yeah, just killed it.
The sultry,
really impressed.
Deeper baritone-esque woman lady person just killing it.
Beautiful.
And then a worm
voice,
sidekick
just,
thing. Worm.
Yeah, he was kind of there.
It's a worm. It's a worm in a veggie show.
Well, I mean, there's an apple in a veggie show too.
Also true. Well, there's precedent for other fruit though. Paw grape.
Oh yeah.
The entire grape, like that's I don't know
Still-
how early in it is.
still
but
weird.
Yeah. No, veggies includes fruits, but not worms.
Veggietales includes fruits.
Veggietales.
Veggies don't include fruits.
According to
There's some
Congress, pizza's a vegetable. Did you know that? This was a while ago.
Look, according to the California state law, these are fish. Okay, like,
and it's awesome. They're like, look, they get the.
I'm
same
glad we
protection.
do it, and I understand why we do it, but like, we can't use their definitions. That only works in legalese.
Sandwiches must contain some form of meat, so a grilled cheese doesn't count as a sandwich, and peanut butter and jelly doesn't count as a sandwich.
I wonder
According
if that
to
means if I make a food truck
and
with
Drug
PB&J
Administration.
and grilled cheese, will that like help me on taxes or something?
I think it'll hinder you on taxes if you don't have meat-based sandwiches.
But
you
like,
get
what's the
taxed
upside
less.
to meat-based sandwich?
You get taxed less on them. I think it's a farmer subsidy type thing. So you're subsidizing the livestock. I don't know. It's taxes. All right, back to Larry Boy. So the theme is good. The backgrounds improve. The background characters, I think, get worse in the sense that we don't get to see the vast array. Like, it's not like the Muppets where you get all of these core characters, even if they're not involved directly.
That's the same character, but it doesn't have a goatee.
Yeah, you get generic background characters. It started to happen with Rumor Weed because there's like a giant pumpkin and there's like a clown looking one. Like, you have these characters, but they still are animated similarly enough to the main cast.
They are the same vegetable. There's differences. Like, there's Larry, and then there's the older cucumber, but the older cucumber has,
Nebuchadnezzar
like, bumps and stuff.
Yeah, well, he's a core. Nebuchadnezzar's been there
Exactly.
forever. Yeah, like we get those people.
There's lots of core characters. Why aren't you
with
them in the background?
Yeah,
Where's
with
the tomatoes, bro? Where's the tomatoes?
yeah, with Bad Apple, you get a lot of carrots. There's a lot of carrots, and all the carrots don't
like
have
weird baby carrots,
everything. Yeah,
right?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, no, you're just missing out on like fun stuff. You get, I think it's Jerry, the gourd or the squash, one of them. Like, is the cameraman for the news reporter. It's like, okay, cool, nice. How about just like the regular citizens? Yeah, they're just all carrots.
I will say, I'd still rather look at the Bad Apple's backgrounds for hours rather than have to stare at the other ones.
Especially Fib from Outer Space. That background is rough.
There's a lot of sky blue in Rumor Weed and not much else. At least in Fib, we get a little bit of a day cycle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love it. I'm a sucker.
Gets darker.
I'm a sucker for a good day cycle throughout a story.
Yeah, that's fair. So anyway, if you wanted to go into the LarryBoy movies episodes, completely blind.
Junior kills LarryBoy.
Oh no! Get out of here. Now is the time. Otherwise, we do think that they're worth a watch. They're fine. They're fun.
You could probably skip Rumor Weed, but you know, if you're gonna do it, it's 30 minutes.
It's a drop in the bucket.
Maybe fast forward a bit to the song if you don't like it, but if you do like it, then it won't matter. You'll be fine.
Yeah. So plot stuff. Let's put it out there. Alfred, the butler, is S tier.
S tier.
As
the
he is
only S tier character.
In his original incarnation of being Batman's butler, also S tier.
Yeah.
Like he just
Really,
crushes it.
Just one of the best characters.
Just shout out.
Ever. Yeah.
Let's just give props where props are due. LarryBoy kind of sucks at his job of being a vigilante.
It's weird because I feel like in the first movie he's pretty competent. He has moments of being silly, but it's Larry, so
there are no aliens in Bubblyburg.
Okay, well, I mean, come on, you're in a world of vegetables. That thing could be a vegetable to me.
It's just a very, very weird, blue raspberry or something.
Yeah, it looks kind of like a dragon fruit or a star fruit, or you could tell me that exists. I wouldn't be able to tell you.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest dock in him.
Specifically in the first movie.
One.
Also, maybe acting on incomplete information at certain points.
Oh, he doesn't know how to start the engine.
Well, once
he
again,
keeps spamming buttons.
It is one of those things where it's
wipers.
Well, he gets the engine started. He drives it around.
Yeah.
He just doesn't know what the buttons do. But that's because Alfred
doesn't know how to nitro it
and didn't explain it.
Yeah,
is both of their faults. It's not Alfred's or Larry. It's kind of
Alfred's still S tier.
They need to meet up more often.
We low-key came to the conclusion that Alfred will
going forward. He definitely
stuff.
Becomes a little incompetent.
Yeah, Alfred improves tech randomly for LarryBoy's use. Tells him nothing.
Yeah, no manual.
Not even this is vaguely what my improvement is. It's just I'll tell you in the field.
Until he's literally about to push the yellow button. He does not know what the yellow button. And even when he doesn't know until after the button has been pushed.
I also love how he finds out about the yellow button. It's burned into my memory where he's like, Alfred, stop yelling at me. Yellow. And then he pushes the yellow button.
And it shoots off its wheels and becomes the Larry plane.
Super cool. It's really cool. I'm not gonna lie, that it feels badass. And then again in Rumor Weed where it turns into a drill and just swimming through the ground.
Might be slightly sociopath or social signs of sociopath or something because
psychopathy.
He's just oh yeah, you'll be fine. Just push the button, and Larry has no idea. His wings get. He's
laughing the entire time, plummeting to the earth.
And then right at the end, the drill comes out and he falls into the ground.
Alfred.
But anyways,
no. So anyway, Alfred either secretly a LarryBoy villain or a massive troll. Honestly,
given unaware.
Given his given his enjoyment of British banana peel comedy that's established in Bad Apple, it could just be he has a sick sense of humor. He likes the slapsticky nature, and so he puts LarryBoy in the most precarious situation. And he goes, "What are you going to do about it? Fire me? I'm your butler."
You wouldn't even know how to do that.
So anyway, Alfred's awesome. just like allegedly LarryBoy is a superhero. He has feigning significance.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did Junior rescue
depending
himself
on the
from the
part.
water tower?
Yes.
Oh.
Kind of. Oh, do you mean like getting down from the water tower?
Was he just gonna jump off or something?
Sure, he's a vegetable.
Was Alfred gonna ride his scooter?
You know,
vertically up the water tower?
If there's a water tower, there must be a way up and down it.
There was no ladder, and
that we could see, but we only really see one angle of this very weird tower. Anyway, LarryBoy is good at get the cat out of the tree crimes. He can beat up the milk money bandit or whatever. He can beat up a milk money bandit. He can't do anything above that. At that point, it becomes like, okay, Alfred, please Deus Ex Machina, otherwise we're dead. That happens with the fib because Larry like is getting eaten by the fib. Like he's literally getting sucked on as a cucumber. Giggity. That's what's happening. It's like a lollipop. There's just a pickle. He's a cucumber. Anyway, Larry's literally like in the process of going to die, and Junior stops the fib. In the Rumor Weed episode, the dad just clears up a misconception, is all he does. So everyone thinks that Alfred is a robot in Rumor Weed, and it's because he said the phrase, "I need to go home and recharge my batteries." That was it. That's
the whole...
just a metaphor. And the kids went, "Oh, he's a robot." And then it just spread like wildfire, and all of the adults assumed, except for Junior's dad. Junior's dad was like, "What are you talking about? No, he's not a robot. It's a metaphor. He's tired. He needed to go home and get some sleep." Oh.
The pumpkin version of Trump would do really well in this world.
And then in Bad Apple, this is where LarryBoy actually has some agency. He does something in Bad Apple, which I'm very happy about. Because
he does mess up a little bit too, but he pulls himself out.
Yeah. So he's got a little bit of a chocolate addiction. The Bad Apple's like lesson is moderation, don't give in to temptation type thing. She freaking puts people into parallel universes of
she can make
paradise
pocket dimensions with her weird spider silk.
Yeah, she gives the Mayor Blueberry like a Cinderella shopping spree, basically.
Well, it's like a big closet. Is all this stuff.
Just endless clothing,
and they don't
vanity, makeup,
and they just kind of like stay in there. They stop doing the thing they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Which is helpful for the Bumbleberg 300-year anniversary.
Woo! And then there's Petunia Rhubarb as the news person.
Who's not a rhubarb.
Who doesn't look like rhubarb. Who is addicted to video games and gets stuck in Tron.
Kind of like the Tron bike scene.
Yeah. Except I don't know if they're tricycles or if they're just like some weird pod thingies.
It's the Tron bike thing.
It's Tron.
You know,
yeah. And then LarryBoy, she goes to the Larry cave and outright converts the entire thing with pocket dimension web into a Willy Wonka chocolate factory.
Larry has the little hat.
I didn't expect that.
Everything.
Yeah, the purple hat. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting just like lots of chocolate. That was a very pleasant surprise for me.
Well, it's like, you pointed out there's like some Star Trek references. They reference it's about the right time frame.
Yeah. So they have a Willy Wonka parody. He is literally just lounging in the lazy river of chocolate with a straw.
Doesn't she even do a song that's kind of like the Willy Wonka?
Yeah. The there's no knowing where you're going. Yeah, that whole thing. And then she ties Alfred to a chair to watch his favorite banana-based comedy show.
Which I love because, like, this is according to Stephen Fry, but I think he's a pretty good person to ask about British comedy.
Yeah.
British comedy is usually centered around the protagonist having bad things happen to them. So, I will say I was clever. They seem to get that, too.
And they did a 2D animation for the banana.
And he slips on his own peel.
Oh, hoisted by my own peel.
You did, Larry, or Barry the banana, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Banana.
So, that's like the gist of the plots. How they get out of it for Bad Apple is Alfred like realizes, because he's been telling Larry this whole time, like, bro, you got to cut down on chocolate. He's encouraging him to like go exercise, Stairmaster, climb, that whole thing. Full montage mode, and I believe Alfred gets out of it and is just like, Larry, just freaking help, please. And then that snaps Larry out of it, so Larry goes to help, and then they go and solve the other temptation problems by getting them out. Yeah, and then they actually stop the Bad Apple, who wanted to like rebuild. I forget what it was. It's like the like Apple House, Fun House 2.
Essentially, it was like a saloon, but they played like checkers, and there were
they literally just play games all day.
Of the night around.
So
we're not
actually, because it's Veggietales, but that's the idea.
What would they do in Veggietales? Like pay for hugs. Pats on the back.
Pats with what limbs? Well, I need to show you a clip after this starts.
They could touch each other. Like they could like pick Junior up, right?
Theoretically,
they can. If
they have short range telekinesis. Is my thought.
You could just.
And then everything went wrong with like there's a Sherlock based episode. I need to show you it. It's very weird. It's so freaking weird. Complete different tangent. Anyway, we're getting into deep Veggietale territory.
Way too much on Veggietale.
It's so weird. It comes out of nowhere. It's definitely just a gag, but it opens so many questions. Anyway, we watched the LarryBoy movies, and what did we take away from this experience?
Lying is bad.
Lying is bad is the fib moral. Don't spread rumors is the rumor weed moral.
Kind of just lumps in with the first one, but I guess it's distinct.
It's low key the same, but less intent. Bad Apple, take things in moderation.
Very important skill.
Going through as far as like the successes of these, if they're supposed to be moral tales, I think Fib does a good job.
Very fast.
Yeah, putting it on a scale, we were saying that it's like 8 out of 10. It does what it needs to. It could probably have expounded on it more, but they had a limited runtime and definitely a limited budget. So, the rumor weed, you did not like much at all.
No, I literally give it a 1.
I was like 2 or 3 at best. It has a similar moral to the first one, but done not as well. I like the idea of the rumor weed, and that it's this thing that doesn't pop up until it's too late.
Yeah.
Because it's just growing like in the sewers the entire time, slowly creeping around Bumbleberg, and then like almost tears down City Hall. But again, LarryBoy doesn't do much in this.
Was cool, but the execution was just very meh for me.
Yeah, rumor weed, the only reason I think that I like it is because it does a lot for the LarryBoy world building, and if that says something, then it's probably not a lot.
I mean, Phantom Menace does, or Episode 2 does a lot for Star Wars' world building. I still think it's...
Yeah, it's like instrumental for the prequel world building. Like, here's the clone army and the Clone Wars, and
I do like the clone.
It's a bad movie
because it's because that's where Obi-Wan fights Jango, and
yeah, there's some fun moments. But overall, not the best experience. And then Bad Apple, I think it did a really good job. I was shocked that it did as good of a job. We were talking about like the pacing of these things, and it feels like Fib could have used a little bit more time. You really don't like Rumor Weed. Rumor Weed.
I just don't see a point to watch it.
Yeah, Rumor Weed is like it's in this like weird middle ground where
it's an unnecessary sequel. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, and it doesn't.
It's not like that much.
It repeats a moral. You watch it because it's a little bit better looking. I still the yellow button thing is burned into my brain. That's like an Alfred being a maniac. Maybe that's what this is for.
Well, the yellow button's in the first one. They already do that.
Or
slamming into the ground.
Maybe they like repeat that gag, the button pressing gag, and further cement Alfred into possibly villain territory.
But either way, Bad Apple. That's another probably
Bad Apple,
like 9.
the longest, but fairly well paced. Like there was a lot more intrigue involvement with it, while also having world building. The background characters are more generic, but other than that,
Background themselves look awesome.
yeah, like they put a lot of effort into this one, and
which is weird
it
because like
shows.
Bumblyville keeps getting
Bumbleberg,
Bumbleberg keeps going from like a weird little suburb town to
yeah,
like a major city.
no,
like,
it definitely.
era.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
first one, it's like South Park, it's one street type territory.
Totally.
The second one, it's like, okay, it's like suburbia. And the third one, it's like, nah, Bumblyberg? You mean Bumbly, New York City?
Yeah.
We found out that apparently Bumblyberg is in fact on the East Coast because 300 years ago, this is the deep lore that we have learned from LarryBoy and the Bad Apple. 300 years ago is when the founding father of Bumblyberg came to find Bumblyberg.
Jebediah Q or something.
Jebediah Q. We'll call him Jebediah. It was definitely related to Larry because I'm convinced that's how he has his wealth to be the Batman LarryBoy.
I
like,
think it's just he's just from
he's
like
old money.
a very established family, and I
Yes,
think Larry is an
old
actor,
money.
so like they had the money to like support him to go into acting and such.
And then he became LarryBoy. Yeah, anyway, so Bad Apple, like, I think is the most well-balanced one.
Really good
between, villain's
Probably
great.
the most interesting villain.
The music, the in-episode music is good. The Shucks rock and roll struggles. You hit gold and then you try to like one up gold and you can't do it. That OG theme is still gold. And I think they still use it at the beginning of Bad Apple. So it's not like it's
They definitely do
negated.
it too, and I think you're right.
Yeah, it's not negated.
We
it's
watch
still
these all
there.
in a row, so they kind of bleed sometimes.
Yeah.
It's hard to remember that.
So yeah, Bad Apple, surprisingly good. I also think that the lesson of moderation in an era of TikTok is probably a good one.
This is when we saw
Does
the
it
framing
mean-
device of Bob and Larry talking about it before, and it was
Oh,
literally
yeah.
a kid asking how does he deal with like, I want to do these
Like game
chores,
addiction.
but he plays video games too much.
Yeah.
So like that was kind of funny.
Yeah,
That
in
they-
2007.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't
people
know.
have always been going on about game addiction
Oh,
and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, since the 80s.
There was
They're
an
like, oh
episode
no.
of what is that one? What is when someone has a problem, we all sit together. You haven't. Oh, intervention. There's an intervention episode about a guy with gaming addiction, and it's like first season.
Okay. Yeah.
He really did.
He was.
It was
addicted.
terrifying.
He's one of those streamers that like show their setup and there's just a mound of trash.
That's
built
just
on the side
gross.
kinda
Like
thing.
he would be up for like 3 days straight,
and then
like could
crash.
not force himself to go to bed. It was
Yeah.
insane. Anyways,
So, yeah, takeaway. I definitely think they're worth the watch. Rumor Weed, as much as it pains me, is the least watchable or rewatchable for those that have seen these. Because it just doesn't add much. And that's unfortunate. Maybe we'll go so far as to hunting down the 4-episode cartoon 2D show or the League of Super Vegetables or whatever they're called for their Avengers. Avengers. whatever that would be, because I know that those exist and I think there's 3 of them as well that follow. LarryBoy, overall, very pleasant, very enjoyable. Especially I think if you like old Batman, like pulpy superhero, like cheesiness, I think this is a great like love letter parody of sorts for that. Yeah.
You should check out if you like these Minnesota Cuke.
Yeah.
I think it is, right?
I'll just be honest. Veggietales on the whole is very fun.
Veggietales
I have no
do
idea how the Netflix part is.
feel good.
I know
on
that
the whole.
I know the designs are terrifying, but I don't know how the show is in that aspect. But
I don't think the designs are that bad. It's just like
it's unnerving to me. I think
they're already kind of creepy.
I don't know. I don't know if it's purely familiarity or if it starts to
That is
dive
my
into.
theory.
I think because the irises are colored, it dips further for Uncanny Valley territory.
The irises are colored in the later LarryBoys. want to say.
No.
I think on some of the characters they are. Some of them are just big blobs. Either
So yeah. LarryBoy.
Right.
Connor, where can we check you out at?
5 Street Connor on YouTube. You can add me on Steam and ban Cleric. Play Pokemon with me, but you won't because I'm just too good for you. You're all just scared.
And if you want to see more of me, Connor and I both post narratives and nonsense on Monday evenings, and then this next week we won't be here, but the week following we have a big surprise. That'll be fun.
Because Jordan has to get a haircut.
I did get a haircut. I forgot to mention that. I got a haircut for you.
It is really good.
Thank you.
Like the fade on it is...
Yeah, I've never gotten a fade before. Tight. I think my favorite compliment is that I look like a Marine now. I think that's what John said.
The Marine one is the flat top fade.
Yeah, it's pretty...
I like this.
It's getting close to it. It's close. It's approaching that territory.
With that one, you need like a little more so you can really get that.
Oh, the square chop. Yeah. Almost. Anyway, so
if you will.
So John, the one who told me I look like Marine, the two of us play Kingdom Hearts on Wednesdays. That's in the evenings, and then finally I join my roommate Marcus occasionally on Sundays, where we play Knights of the Old Republic. That's on his channel.
Sunday.
Eldritch Bunch or Eldritch Funky. Yeah. So anyway, that's our show. Yee. Have a good week, everybody.
Have a nice day.